difficult finding time after the class to now download and re-upload and all that. So that will start happening in like 10 seconds. Let me start recording now. Okay, so we start recording. Let's start. Okay, so good evening, everybody. Today we are talking about service design. We're talking about service design. This is the second class in service design. And this class will be more collaborative. We'll be working together. And so some of the, I know I talked about in the first class, I took some theoretical part of all these things and all the different documentations that you would have to create. And then today, we'll be looking at some of those different templates that you work with and canvases and the different process that we looked through that we looked at in the last class. Today we'll be looking at, okay, when you finish that process, what do you create? How do you go about it and things like that? That's what we will be achieving in today's class. For the sake of those who are probably joining for the first, who missed the first part and had not watched the recording, I would advise you to go back and look for that, the service design, the part 1, to look at it and watch it, because if we try to lay another foundation again, we won't have enough time to go into what we'll be talking about today. But what exactly is service design? Some of you are more familiar with product design, which is you're designing the product. And we had a class on product design the other day as well, to make us understand that product design is not just about designing the user interface or creating the mock-ups and prototypes and things like that. It starts way long before you get to that point of creating those artifacts, so to say. So the whole process of designing a strategy of engaging with your users, user research, and a number of all those things. So that's some foundation of product design. So now, which is everything is geared towards having a product. But the same thing with service design, everything is geared towards having a service. So however, it's not, you don't only get involved in designing a service at the point of when it's just started. You can also do service design to improve an existing service. Yeah, so because sometimes when people design a product, they just think about that product itself, but there is hardly any product that exists on an island, that exists on its own. So there are a number of interactions that happen on and off the product, before and after the product. So it's all those things that we put in perspective as service design. An example is that everybody, which is an example I think we'll be working with today, everyone has engaged with a bank, isn't it? And going to the bank has a mobile app. That mobile app is the product. But every other thing that happens, like if you have to if you have to request for a new ATM for it to come to you, if you would have to go to the bank to, well, let's say maybe you want to open another account, so you want to move money from one account to another account. So every other things that you engage with the bank for, beyond the things that you can do on the mobile app, encapsulates everything around their service. So the service design is now like, how do we step back beyond designing a good product to make sure that the entire service, the entire interaction we have with our customers is something that is delightful? So that's what we'll be looking at today. So bank is an example that you can design the service for a bank. As a matter of fact, even a church, for instance, you can design your service. You can use some of all this context as well. So because it's a service you are offering, and you can, I mean, it's even called Sunday service when you go, isn't it? Or midweek service or something. You can design the experience around that as well too. So the whole thing is that you can have a service without service design. I mean, most services today is existing today without any service designer behind it, making sure that all the touch points is good enough. And the same way with product design as well too. Sometimes you have some products existing where you just have the developer who just go ahead and develop and does the front end side, and they don't have any interaction with anybody. They didn't do any mock-ups, and they just develop the product straight up without actually designing it first. The same way you can build a house without having the architectural design first. Yeah, so The same way you can have a service without really thinking design in the process. But why do you not need to think design in process if services are already existing regardless of this? Well, the results shows for it, because when you are deliberating and designing the experience for your customers and your partners and your employees, you get much better results, because a lot of systems today are broken. And when I mean system, I don't just mean the software or something. I mean the way an organization operates. A lot of times it's broken. So different things are not touching, they're not thinking whole about the whole experience. Like there's a concept called systems thinking, where you think about the entire system within the organization, how does everything work together. So a lot of people are not having this thoughts, and they are trying to solve problems individually, but they don't understand that sometimes the problem you're experiencing at this point happened 3 points away. And when I'm talking about points here, I'm talking about touch points, like where your customers engage with you. As at the points they create a new account, as at the points they want an ATM, as at the points they want this, as at the points they want that. So some people might focus on, want to solve the experience about our customers, how they request for ATM from us. But if you think about only that, you might be missing a big point, because to get a very good experience with requesting a new ATM, you probably need to start from the point that person is creating the account. Maybe there's some kind of data you should have collected from them, such that by the time you want to have a seamless ATM interaction, because you have that data, then this can work. Things like that. Anyway, so don't let me go over and start recommending solutions, because we'll be working together through this. So with a show of hand, how many of us has had complaints about your experience with the service in the bank? With your bank, with a show of hand, like, not again, this bank, this, that. Only one person. Okay, only two. All right, that's good. So that means that the problem with bank is not a problem then. Okay, we've got 4 hands. Okay, maybe others don't know where to click in it. All right, so then let's come together to solve it. Let's come up with some solutions, and then maybe you can even reach out to your local bank and tell them to say, hey, you see this problem you guys have been having? I have a solution for you. And let me tell you something that, as a side note here, that either you're job hunting, you're trying to create your own business or something. Sometimes when you learn some of all these things, you don't wait until you get a job to put them to practice. You can look at an experience you have, use this context that we have, work with some of the things you're learning, and create, make some recommendations for an existing service, an existing company, and reach out to them yourself and say, hey guys, I have some recommendation for you. Some of you will be like, oh, who am I going to reach out to? Well, go on LinkedIn, go and look for the person who is the manager of that business. Go and look for a decision maker in that organization and send them a LinkedIn request and put a message in there to say, hey, I have this solution for you. I think you can do this better and all that. If you're willing to engage, I'm happy to get on a call to talk you through this. And some people would actually reply. Some people would actually reply to you. Like, how about some businesses that happen like that? Just LinkedIn, reached out. Hey, we have this recommendation. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Went on, right, sitting down here in my office in the UK, having business meetings with a leading organizations back in Nigeria, and talking about it, meeting with their head of marketing and head of software and the deputy CIO and all that. And these meetings were happening, started just because there was a reach out on LinkedIn. So so when you learn some of all these things, put them to practice. Start with someone. It might be with starting with your church. It might be with starting with your parents' business, your siblings' business, or somewhere, or even the school that you graduated from or something. So but get ready to design some exciting service. Okay, so this class will feel like we're just starting from the middle, which is the truth because we've had the first one. So we'll just be looking at some documents that would guide our thinking and we'll create together. So now, if you are doing a service design effort, the hand thing, if you can drop it, I think you can drop the hand so you stop flashing on my screen and people are raising their hand. All right. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. Okay, so what was I going to say again? Yeah, so when you want to start doing something, it's important to understand to say, okay, what is the objectives? What are we trying to achieve? It's always important. You need to start with the end in mind. What goals are you trying to achieve? So there is this canvas called the business objective context. It helps us to be able to like quickly frame what exactly we are trying to work on. So now, the example I've given, if you disagree with that example and you want to suggest a different example, you can suggest it. And because like I said, this class I'm not teaching, this class we are just discussing. So we'll talk about the problem together and we will be making suggestion of solutions together. Of course, this is not a real scenario because you're just trying to create or design a service within 2 hours, which is not how these things work, right? Like it takes weeks. Yeah, it takes at least 1 week, so to say, because you need to start with enough time to understand the people you want to design for and all that. So we are just making like what's the word? Make believe, so to say. So let's work with it. It's not, our answers does not need to be perfect because of course this is not an ideal scenario, but we need to be as near as possible to the truth. So the service you're trying to design now is the whole service experience with a bank. So if you think there is another service that you think, this is the bigger pain points, let's focus on this over the banking sector, you can suggest it. So I'm not just doing something that I think is a problem and everybody else think it's not a problem. So do you think there's a bigger problem than just the bank? And that's what you want us to work on. So please talk now. Anybody saying anything? If you agree with me, just say yes, you agree. Yeah?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, all right. So if you agree that we should go ahead with bank, we will go ahead with the bank. Okay, so yes, so now with assumption, I have issues with my bank as we speak. Okay, that's good. I mean, one of the my bank accounts in Nigeria, when I left Nigeria, I tried reaching out to them. I think, what did I need again? Yeah, it was the login for the online bank or something, and they were not responding. Like, what's happening here? They were asking me for things that was making it a bit difficult, and even though I had someone who worked there, I even reached out and they came to me and said, "Okay, send all this." I send all those details. I've not heard from them till date. I tried to call, it's difficult and all that. So at the end of the day, I just abandoned that particular account, and they are missing a lot of money because they don't have a good service to be able to manage that. And this is an experience that happened with a lot of people. There are a lot of people in a particular country who moved away from the country and they want to be able to still keep their accounts. They should be able to interact with you digitally as well too. And some banks don't have it. And the real shocker for some of those banks now are the digital banks that are coming on board, because with the digital banks now, interesting. With the digital banks now, you can just sit from your house and do everything without going to any physical building. One of my bank accounts in the UK is with Monzo. Is it Monzo? Yeah, it's Monzo. Monzo, because there are a number of them, so sometimes their name can play a trick on my head. So it's a full digital bank, and sitting down in my house, within 5 minutes, I've already opened my account, or 10 minutes or so, and got a confirmation, posted my ATM card to me. When I traveled, when I traveled to the US on holidays, when sometimes early this year, I left the other cards I was using. I used Monzo because they had a better experience with for people who when you've traveled and all that. I could just use my card straight up without having to withdraw and exchange. They have like this wholesome thinking in their experience. So, and they have a lot of banks today that, and those digital banks are moving. I mean, I know there are one or two of those in Nigeria already today. So if banks don't wake up and smell the coffee, they're going to lose out big time because of terrible service or broken down experience here and there. So enough of me over explaining the problem. We are here to collaborate together. So to make this work here, we will, I'm thinking I won't be able to put this in the projection mode because I need to be able to type, isn't it? So yeah, we'll be working on this together. We'll be typing on it as we go on. So now we're thinking about the bank. What is the objective? Like I said, guys, the answer does not need to be perfect. Maybe we should appoint one or two people that will be the senior executives here, give everybody a title so that we'll be getting the right response from everyone. So is there anybody here is there anybody on this call who has worked in a bank before? No? Okay. Let's just work collaboratively together as one team. Okay, so now what's the objective? What are we trying to achieve by redesigning the service for a bank? So let's give the bank a name. What bank are we redesigning their service for?
Can we use GTB?
GT Bank, okay. All right, so we are Crestad. Someone says Crestad Bank. All right, that's a very good one. So let's start creating a new bank then called Crestad Bank. Okay, let's use GTB. I hope they don't come back and say, hey, why were you talking about us on your course? Because this is going to be on YouTube, but I'm sure they know that whatever things you're talking about here, everything is not absolute correct. Some of them will be real problems you experience with them. Some of them will be real problems that some people experience with other banks. But like we said, everything we're talking about, it's make-believe. But using the name of a real bank will probably paint the picture very real to us. So let's say GTB. So what's GTB trying to achieve by thinking of rethinking their service and redesigning their whole service experience? So we'll go GTB. We've already gotten 2 words on GTB. So let's do that. Anybody? The objective is just what are you trying to achieve, yeah?
Maybe GTB is trying to have good customer service relations such that they don't delay as much time as possible when they are doing something or when they are serving their customer.
Okay, yeah, to make it better when serving their customers. And somebody wrote something that I love so much in the content there, which is like the person is just reiterating what you've said, Ife, which is like, so I need to, okay, let me change this particular view to the chart. Hold on. Okay, to provide better personalized a more personalized service to customers. Okay, so to reduce waiting time, our objective is to a more personalized service. I mean, it can be more than one objective. So objective is to provide a better personalized service to customers. Avoid, let's leave it as a bullet point. To reduce waiting time, and let's say to increase customer retention, to ensure every customer gets excellent service at anywhere they are in the world. I love that too. To provide a personalized service to customers, to reduce waiting time, to increase customer retention rate. This we can measure. More personalized service, because our objectives needs to be something that we can measure. How would we know that a service is more personalized? So someone said an excellent service to everyone across the globe, wherever they are in the world. Yeah, we can measure in terms of location wherever they are. Okay, so I'm having this. Yeah. Assessing banking products and services with ease, ensure every customer gets excellent service anywhere they are in the world. I'm trying to bring in that particular point and the personalized service. Yeah, you can measure a personalized service. You just need to have what's the word now? You just need to have like the key results that you want to use in measuring your personalized service. Reduce waiting time, increase customer retention. I don't want to. Okay. Okay, let's assume that by personalizing service to customers, let's add that anywhere they are in the world, regardless of location. Yeah, or customers anywhere they are in the world, across the world. Because sometimes businesses forget that the world is globalized. So when they are thinking of something, they only think about customers in their immediate location. But it's much more than that. Why is this objectives? Why are they important? One reason why this is important is because anybody with any thoughts, let me not be the one giving all the answers. And we need to be fast, guys. We have quite a number of things to go through, not just this one slide. Like having a digital agent assigned to every customer, you're already solving the solution. You're already telling them what to do here. What we are trying to capture in the business objective is just to tell us, this is what we are trying to do before we now go on trying to do it. Yeah, so this is already a solution, improve customer engagement. This is one of the ways they will do it. Why is it important? Something like Siri that can interact. Guys, stop giving us ideas about how to make the service better yet. Yeah, what we want at this point is just, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to achieve? Yeah, so why is this objectives important? Why is it important to personalize your service? Why is it important to reduce waiting time? Why is it important to increase customer retention?
It's important to reduce waiting time because if you don't reduce waiting time, some people would rather go to another bank and you lose customers and you lose returns that you plan to have.
Okay, it feels like what you just explained now is to increase customer retention, which perhaps maybe we can take that out from objectives and capture it as or why that objective is important. So let's do that. Let's do that. Like I said, our answers don't have to be 100% perfect, but to increase customer retention rate, to increase revenue and profit. And why is it also important to improve brand recognition or brand acceptance, yeah, or
Yeah, because of the competition in the market, I think.
To create a more positive brand perception. Yeah, have a larger market share. Yes, so it's about when by the time you increase your retention rate, you're able to increase revenue and profit, and you're able to create a more positive brand perception. By the time you create a more positive brand perception, in fact, creating a more positive brand perception, the objectives and the why the objective is important sometimes might be a mix between both. But we need to know that the objective is what we are going to measure. The why is what is telling us the essence of it. Why is this the importance of that objective? Anyway, so based on what facts are we doing all this now? So let's just assume that we've done some customer survey, and then we believe that customer survey, Google reviews, or let's just say online reviews. Those reviews could come from anywhere. So this is where we've gotten our facts from that talks about this. And let's say maybe there is a survey that was also done across the country that talks about ease of doing business. Yeah, so based on customer complaints that we got on the survey, based on customer complaints that we got from the online review. So the reason why we put that information there is that this is some way that we can go and confirm this detail or this data that we've talked about. This is the source of our data, of our decision making, so to say. Okay, so who needs to be involved? Of course, we know that the directors need to be involved. We know that senior managers need to be involved. We know that who else? Customer service is a team there. We know that the guys, our IT needs to be involved as well too. Operations, you know, and so many other teams that you have. So in fact, everybody across the organization needs to be involved. Internal stakeholders, maybe where we can even put this so that, but we need to be involved in the sense of, because we know everybody needs to be involved, but there are different levels of involvement. So yeah, so let's just say every bank employee needs to be involved, but which team exactly is, some people will be the core team doing the work anyway. So we'll just say the service design team, so to say, and then we'll talk about the customers as well, yeah? And even in designing it, we can try to even reach out to non-customers as well too, because you don't need to interact with only your customers. So we'll look at a video that you see. You can go out there and reach out to people that are not yet your customers and interact with them. And some of them will tell you, this is the reason why I'll never come to your bank, because my neighbor said this, because my friend said that, because my parents said that, things like that. So, and customers to more of customer service team and one designing the service. Yeah, so that's obviously every bank employee. So service, customer service, admin, operations, senior management, everybody will roll them there as part of the thing. Then the service design team, the reason why we call them out differently is because this service design team could be employees of the bank and they could be consultants. So they are definitely involved. And you have the customers and you have non-customers as well. So how will we know that we have succeeded? How will we know that we have succeeded in this? So one way could be reduced complaints. Yeah. Another way could be less customer complaints, wider usage from outside the bank, country. So I love that as well. How would you know that we've increased diaspora, increased customers in diaspora, so to say? Yeah, that's also another way. Good customer reviews, high retention, reduced complaints.
People spend less time in the bank.
Yes, that's a very good one as well too. Reduced time in bank halls. Okay, so what is going to enable us to achieve this service? So let's capture that. But how will we know that the reduced our waiting time has been reduced? So if we just say reduced waiting time, how would we capture it? That's what we're supposed to say here, even. So we'll say reduced complaints. How would we know that that has reduced? We know from our surveys, from our own reviews. So let's capture 2 points in one there. So let's just say more positive. Oops. Let's say more positive. What is that? More positive comments than complaints. Increased customers in diaspora, high retention rates. This one they can measure because they have their data that shows how many customers have we had in the last year, how many of them are still trading with us and all that. So these are some of the ways we can know anyway. So yeah, so how else are we going to know? I mean, another way we can know as well too is award for best customer experience. This is also another way, because by the time all those things have worked, if there's an award that everybody converts in the space, if we get that award, that means we've really done well. Yeah, so what enables us? So what are the enablers? What are the things that is going to enable us to achieve this project, so to say, or this endeavor to be able to deliver on this? So what are the things? What are the things? Any thoughts here? What are the things we need to be able to achieve this?
We would need to know what ways we can serve our customers better. So we'll probably need to talk to our customers.
So yeah, so what are the things we are going to do? But what's going to enable us to be able to do that? Yes, we need what enables us access to customer data. Yes, this is something we need. Access to what's the word now? Customer interaction. I mean, we have that already to be able to sit down and reach out to them. How can we determine how best to satisfy them when customers become advocates? So we need access to customer data. What else do we need? We need access to interacting with, because when we get the data, we can interact with them physically if we want to. So let's just include that anyway. Access to physical interaction with customers. I mean, this is something that we know we definitely have. I'm looking for things that is like we're asking for this. We also need data about the competition. Yeah. So what's going to enable us access to industry data? Yep. So I mean, any other thing as well too that we could need. We could, for instance, if we start going into a bit more detail, we could say, hey, we need a project vehicle or things like that. So what are the risks and the restrictions? What are the things that is likely to be the risk here? And what are the things that are likely to restrict this? Remember, this is an high level. Before you start working on the project is when you're creating this business objective context. So we don't need to go too deep dive into risk that we don't know yet. So these are just things that we can think of. Yeah, yes. Inaccurate data is a very huge risk. Inaccurate data. Inaccurate data is a very good risk. What else? What else might be a very huge risk as well too? Customers could give you wrong answers. Yeah, so when you do that's a given anyway. So it's how you now go about resolving the interaction, all that. So what are the things that can limit us? That are a bit beyond our control, so to say. Yeah. Government policies, yes, this could be a risk. There could be a policy, I don't know, that says that maybe which can tie back to our data as well, but it could be any policy. But if we're working on this in more real scenario, you don't just call out government policies because, I mean, it's, what's the word now? It's a bit vague. So we need to, there should be a particular policy that you can call out there as a challenge. So COVID-19 pandemic is also, or we wouldn't even, so the thing is, we can't call, okay, well, we said risk and restrictions. So COVID-19 pandemic is a restriction, but in actual sense, it's not a risk. Yeah. The reason why you don't call it maybe we can still call it a risk though, because when you say something is a risk, it means something that is likely to happen. That is the risk. But if it has happened already, it has now become an issue. So in project management, those of you in the class that they had about things called the RAID log, and in the RAID log, is my video working all right, guys? Hello?
I've been seeing the same picture since.
Because yeah, so can you imagine? So it's working now, right? Yeah? Is it moving now? Yeah, okay. And if it's giving us issue, I'm just going to shut it down. So we just all focus on the screen. You don't need to see my face anyway. I really need this. Okay, I can actually pull it here. All right, so okay, it's better now. Okay, yeah, let's go. So because we said that we call that risk and restriction. So anything that has already happened cannot be a restriction. So we can call that COVID-19 pandemic. So now this you've created that tells us what we are trying to achieve. You can present this and start your conversation to say, all right, so we're about to start our work now as the service designers. We've gotten the context of what we're trying to achieve, the objective, why it's important, what we need to involve, and things like that. So someone says space of the bank, we might not be able to handle as much customers as we want. Yeah, that could be a restriction as well too. So that means we'll have to go outside and meet them for coffee. So all right, so let's move on to the next thing. So now the design thinking process. How many of us remember the design thinking process? So we've left it for us to capture it. Now it's like we've gotten, this is what we're trying to do. Then we want to start our work and we need to follow this process. So what's the first thing in the 5 stages in the design thinking process? Anybody? I'm looking at the comments. I'm waiting to get a response. Empathize. Empathize, empathize, empathize. I want everything to be on a straight line, sir. 13 didn't work. 12 should work. Okay. Empathize. What's the next stage? We'll fill it and then we'll talk a bit through it before we move on. Define. Only one person is talking. Anybody else? Anybody else? They can't remember. Okay, the third, ideate. The fourth, prototype. And test. Thank you. Somebody else got in on the final one. That's good. That's good. In fact, if nobody else got the, if it was only one person that gave us all 5, I would have just chased every other person out of the class. Yeah, so empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Now, you can engage with other design thinking, other design thinking process. I will call it different things. This is just like, I don't know if this is, I think it's the most popular, but this is my favorite really because it's just clear and succinct directly in your face. So the design thinking process is just saying that, hey, while trying to design a solution, we have to think like designers, have that designer's mindset, which is the fact that we don't start by solving any problem with the problem. We start with the people and the stage that says empathize. Empathize. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with the people. We'll try to understand the people. And we're not even trying to understand them within the context of our solution alone. We're just trying to understand them, how they relate with our solution and everything else outside their lives. The guys in product design are creating, the guys in service design will be getting a more hardcore task after today where they need to work on some of this as well too. Interesting for those of you know the service design, you've already got some of the work already. But so the whole understanding the people you're trying to solve for and try to understand them beyond your solution, not just understanding them as users, but understanding them as human beings. Because if you're trying to understand them as users, you will only be asking them questions related to the bank. But there are some insights you are going to get that is going to be much more than that. So you just be interacting with somebody about their life, and then you just realize, oh yeah, 3 of my siblings are out of the country, and they do like to have transactions back at home in Nigeria, and they need a Nigerian bank account. But some of them, when their ATM expire, they can't get another one until they travel back to Nigeria again, and things like that. So that might just be the person talking for you to get that insight. But if you're just asking your own structured questions, you might not be able to get some of those insights. Now, that does not mean that you shouldn't have questions when trying to interact. You should have questions, yeah, but you're not asking those questions as a checkbox. That's why survey is not it's not the best tool in empathizing with your customers, because how would you empathize with somebody who's just behind a screen filling a survey of fixed questions? It's always important to have that interaction face to face, preferably, but with one of our restrictions being the COVID-19 pandemic now, you probably have to do Zoom calls. And now that means that you can only now interact with customers that can engage on a Zoom call. Anybody that don't have internet or something, you won't be able to get those ones feedback. So now that has already skewed your research a bit, because now you can't get information from other customers who are not digitally inclined. So these are some of the things that you now have to start thinking, because when you have in your context there, your restrictions, you have to think around them. How do we work around this? So we need this data. We can't get this data from the bank. How do we work around? We're not going to say because we didn't get this data, we're not going to do anything again. So that business context is to guide our thinking and our approach to how we go about doing things. Then when you empathize and you've done all that, the next thing you want to do is to define. And this define, you are defining the problem. Do you see we don't even start from the problem? Because by going through the design thinking process, what we are saying to ourselves is that we don't know what the problem is. We want to understand the people. We gather a lot of feedback from them, have a lot of sticky notes, write a lot of stuff, and then we now say, hey, what exactly is the problem that these people are actually having? So now we will create, let's even do that. So I didn't have that, we don't have that slide before, but I think it's relevant to do it. So we'll do that now. Duplicate the slide, drag it up here, and then let's just, oh yeah, it's not yet time for this. Yeah. Yep. So we'll just say customers feedback, or just say feedback, so to say, that we've gathered from different people. Yeah. So we'll try to limit it so we don't have too much stuff. So it's not yet time for it. Let's look at this together. So I want us to watch this video around. Now, these are UX methods on field research. So I'm going to explain a bit there that you think about, but this is service design. Why are we looking at UX research tools? Because many of all those things are so this is talking about field research, for instance. So field research, even though it's useful in the context of UX, is also useful in the context of service design. As a matter of fact, some UX designers, they are even very broad in their approach to documenting feedback from their customers, that they even talk about some things related to the service beyond the product as well. So when you do user experience work very well, sometimes they do beyond just designing the product to the point of also designing the service around that product. So we're not too far off. So I hope you guys will be able to pick the audio from this video, but let's see if it works. I started then. Yeah. How can I? What's happening?
Let's go. What is it? So field research is not.
Okay. Why is this? Why is this echo? All right. Hello. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So we will let's look at I want us to be able to no time to do the full design. Don't worry, we just so now what I just wanted to show us from that video really is around the place of field research, and one of that really being that you can do your field research as interviews, you can do it as observation, you can do both interviews and observation. And there's one that I love so much called ethnography. Yeah. So ethnography, the concept of ethnography is from the word, I believe it's from the word ethnic, studying an ethnic group. So it started from anthropologists, really. So where they're trying to understand a particular group of people, a particular how some people live their life in certain countries or certain location, and they have to go and live in those places for months to be able to study them. So it will involve observing, interviews, and all that for months, to be able to get how those people do everything that they do, how they live in January, how they live in December, and everything in between. So this is now something that is now coming to the whole field about design, UX design, service design, and the rest, which is like, hey, you're trying to design something for your people, try to know those people well. So you want to do everything to know those people well, like understand the people you're trying to design the solution for. So it's more deeper than just having an interview and an observation. So it takes your time to be able to observe the people as much as possible. So that way, it just shows that when you're trying to do this, you can't really achieve your best results by just saying, hey, we have one consulting company based out of, I don't know, maybe Philippines or China or something, and they're trying to redesign a service for us. And they are there in their country. They didn't even come at all to your country. They don't know anything about the people there, and they're trying to design the solution for them. So that will be missing a big chunk of it. So, but you want to, as much as possible, before designing anything for anybody in terms of a service, you want to know those people well. So take your time. Depending on the budget you have and the time constraints that you have on delivering such a project, you can decide to take your ethnography for as long as just a week. You can do for a month if you can. So it's just to make sure that you don't have any assumption. And the designer mindset is believing that we don't know anything, we want to know these people, because the wrong thing might be some people will just say, well, I've been living in this country and I have this feedback and this feedback and this feedback, and they just want to write the feedback that they have from the people they know alone and use that to work. But that is not the best. That is not the best, because you might just be limited to the people that you know. You might just be limited to the people that you know alone. So that's why you need to take that time to interact with people. So now I'm going to take a short break at this point and get some feedback, not related to what we're talking about here. I mean, it's related, but just to get some insight from you guys when you had the interaction about when you guys were asked to do the user research about fresh graduates and things like that. What were the things that stood out for you? What were the things that you didn't think about it before, and you were like, oh, this never occurred to me? Did any of you have such experience? I just want some kind of like general feedback that make you think it was really a worthwhile experience having that user research. I'm waiting to hear some thoughts. If you don't get any thoughts from you guys, we probably won't bother going ahead with it.
Sorry, can you repeat the question again? I didn't get that.
Yeah, so, as it 2 weeks ago or so, you guys were asked to do user research, yeah? Where you were asked to interact with, maybe some of you didn't know about.
Yeah, I remember.
So what I want to get here is that, what is the lessons learned? I just need 2 or 3 people to just give me feedback on that. What was the lessons learned for you to say, this was really a worthwhile exercise that to make you think that? What stood out for you that makes you think it's very good to do such exercise before starting anything?
The fact that some people, they apply for jobs and then they find out that it was not actually a job but one of those pyramid schemes.
Yeah, was this an information that you were already aware of even before that call?
Oh no, I wasn't aware of that. That was the first time
Okay.
I was hearing.
So you see now, so for instance, that even though you are probably like a fresh graduate yourself or almost a graduate or something like that, if you had thought to yourself, okay, well, I know about this thing too, so I can design solution for this thing myself, you would have been designing something wrong because that does not take care of users having that kind of problem. So that's why it's important to speak with people because there are assumptions that you might not know exist that actually exist. Okay, anybody else?
Hello,
Yes.
one thing that stood out for me was when I was doing the interview, I noticed there was this non-talent attitude about with with unemployed graduate, in the sense that their focus were mainly on a particular field, or so they were not willing to even they were not struggling to search for jobs, and they were just not employable, most of them, from what I noticed.
Okay. Okay. So, and this was something you probably would have been a bit more surprised.
Yes,
There are
I
people
actually
like this,
thought,
really?
yes, I thought during the job, even they were searching, I thought they were naturally people that they were struggling to search for a job. When I noticed most of them had their specific target of the job, they were not even willing to make sacrifices. They were just, they had these symptoms of laziness in them also.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? I think somebody wrote something in the chat window earlier. If you want to talk about it very quickly.
Somebody had mentioned to me that they feel as though they have to fight for jobs or positions that their parents are in, or rather, they have to fight for the same job opportunities with their parents. So to say that people are holding these positions and are not allowing like fresh graduates to have take these positions and to have experience in these positions because your parents are still in those positions, are still stuck working in those positions.
Okay. And that's quite surprising, even for me to hear that. Oh, really? So someone will still be looking for the same jobs that their parents themselves held, or things like that. So things like that could be really surprising to hear. So, for instance, those kind of feedback, for instance, now find their way into how you design solution, because now you know these people, you have some better insights into the experience that they are having, so you can speak more to that than just sitting down on your desk and saying, I think this is the problem and this is how to go about solving it and all that. So um, it's one of those things I have to put in mind. Anybody else? So anyway, what I was just trying to establish with that is just to let us understand that the whole idea of doing field research is necessary, so to say. You don't just sit down and assume and say, yes, we know it, and this is how to go about it, or something like that. So anyway, so now, created this wall. This is what pretty much happens next. When you've had this interaction with people, you've spoken with them. Of course, this is, like we said, this class is a make-believe. You're just trying to. So now, for the sake of this, now let's use us. Like I'm the one, like I've gotten feedback from all of you in this class now and all, and they were trying to like, what are the different feedback you have concerning either your experience with a bank or something that is not very directly related to bank and all that. So you guys can just take time to talk about it. You can put it on the chat, and then I'll look at it and just get it on the board as well. So it would actually be really cool if I can share this link, and somebody can be typing as well too, so it's a bit more seamless in the interaction. Tendai, can you do that?
Okay.
Are you sure? If not, I can ask, is there any other person else?
Deborah. I'm calling Deborah out.
Yeah, in fact, Deborah would have been my question.
Sorry, I'm not with my system, I have it's stalled, so I have to fix it.
Okay, okay. All right. So Tendai, if you can get into this slide, while you type on it, we'll be looking at it in real time as well too. So that way I can easily talk through or explain some things even while you're typing. And we can make the best of less than 1 hour that is left. Are you in now? So guys, what we're trying to do at this point is just to get some general feedback from you. What are the different things you've had, experience you've had with the bank? So, I mean, like we said, because this is not a real scenario, we're just doing make believe. So I'm just gonna okay, for me, for instance, unable to get a new ATM, and what was the other thing again? Internet went out. Yeah. Okay. Somebody else. We just need to capture some general feedback from everybody.
Okay. As for me, are you with me?
Yeah, Abdurrahman, really.
Yeah, with you.
As for me, there was a scenario that happened. I got a debit alert on my phone. I went to the bank. The challenge they told me that I have to wait for virtually like a month for them to investigate after a charges has been made on my account. So it was really frustrating at that point in time.
Waiting for a month to reconcile the wrong transaction. So, okay, yeah, the guy I can see you in now. So just type away. Bolu, you're listening.
Okay, so for me, there are about 3 issues. The first one was while I was creating my account, they made a mistake with my name. So instead of them to put Boluwati said they did Boluwati too, and it just kind of messed up the whole account. There are a lot of transactions I couldn't make, and as at that time I was trying to pay my school fees for current level, so I had to come back to Lagos because they told me in the branch at my school, at the state I schooled, that I had to go back to the branch I opened it, which was in Lagos. So I had to travel from Ilorin to Lagos, and they still took about 3 weeks before they could revert it.
Okay. So Tendai, I would capture that more as not just the error itself now, more about the problem with resolving the error, which is having to travel to a different state to correct error on the account. Something like that. Yeah. So because I mean, no matter how well we design a service, error is something that can happen. But if when that error has happened, how did it? What exactly is the issue here? So back and forth, yeah, to rectify the issue. Yes. Okay. So somebody else. You might want to type. Let's try to be fast, guys. You know, we're trying to do 1 week work in 2 hours.
My issue was when I was trying to change bank accounts between the same bank but in different countries. I feel as though they weren't accommodating the fact that they weren't accommodating me because the branch that I was using was in a different country. But also the service itself, it's COVID-19. They didn't handle the large amount of people that were in the bank for the different services that they had. They had less, they didn't have enough people handling the issue, and they didn't really focus on the individual because they're so concerned of trying to move people along and get what they need, answer their questions, as opposed to really sitting down and really figuring out what their issue was. So basically, in response to COVID-19, they didn't really handle their customer service very well. Too many people in a large space. Some things could have been handled over the phone, but then they don't answer their phones, issues like that.
Okay. Not answering telephone, not answering phone calls, and rushing people In the bank, yeah. Okay. Somebody else. Delayed ATM error correction. Let's just throw things on the board. Let's not spend too much time trying to do this point. So, because when you do this, is that after you've had this interaction with your customers and all that, and even non-customers as well, so they're going to tell you a lot of things. I mean, you can't just write 10 pages of things to go through. So what you need to do is like use sticky notes. The idea of sticky notes, I mean, the colorful effect of sticky notes is lovely, but the idea of sticky notes is to make sure that you compress the information into a sizable chunk that someone can just speak and you understand. So that's the idea. And although I know I've combined like two things there, but normally you're supposed to have like one main point on each of those. Those things would have come from different people. You could have spoken to 10 people and there'll be some common trend amidst what everybody has said. Those could be the first set of things you have on your sticky notes first, because you want to focus on what most people are experiencing, not just what a people is experiencing. But it's also important to put everything inside that you've captured on the board. Anybody else? Somebody said delayed ATM correction. You can capture that as a delayed ATM correction as something. Anybody else? You could write in the comment section. You could talk about it. If you've spoken before, you can tell us something else. Even if it doesn't have to be you, even if you've not experienced it, just tell us something. Let's just fill this board up very quickly, so you can have something to work with as we move ahead. Anybody? Oh wow, this is so quiet.
And technicalities in processing POS.
What do you say?
I said technicalities in processing POS machine.
Ah, yeah, that's I know that's one big issue as well. So you just say bureaucracy with or something, whatever you're trying to capture. Bureaucracy with or long processes with POS machines. So now that's addressing like business customers now. Debited twice for a subscription already cancelled, and when they reverted the money, they charges. So yeah, so long process with POS machines, debits for double debits for transactions that has been cancelled, deducting bank charges for a transaction that was the bank's fault. Yeah. Reversal of failed ATM cash withdrawal, not automatic. Okay. Reversal of failed ATM withdrawal, not being automatic. Not being automatic. Yep. And I thought you were typing the debited for a cancelled transaction, because it's different from the charges. Those, even though it came as 1 point, I thought we could capture it as 2 different points. Okay. Any other point from anybody? Let me think if there is a... Not having ATM machines close enough in some areas. Yep. Any other points? Lack of interpersonal skill with respect to staff. Yep.
Giving information to customers ahead of updates on their systems. Do you get that?
No.
Okay, there are scenarios whereby the banks might want to, work on their systems, and then, for that particular period of time, the systems won't be available and people won't be able to perform transactions. So there should be information ahead.
Yep. That's a big one. So not notifying or not communicating application updates. Not or service outage customers. There was something else here about accessing the managers. Okay, yep. Whatever it is you're typing there, type it so we can move on. That's a very big one. You call customer service, they ask you to hold on the phone, and you're there for long, and your airtime is going. But if they have toll-free numbers, that will make it much more easy, isn't it? And some other things that some banks should have been thinking of today is that with the advent of internet calls, banks should be able to create things like this where I think there was someone who was creating something like that. So you go on the website, you want to call the customers service, you can just click call, and the call is not going from your phone. The call is going over internet, maybe some application that they've done. Like just like we have Zoom, for instance. Just imagine a Zoom audio call or something, and you just go. So that way, at least with internet consumption, is even better than burning airtime on calls sometimes. So okay. So yeah. So these are some of the feedback we've gotten from our customers. Most of these, of course, should be problems because at this point, what you're trying to do is just get general feedback. So at this stage, what we've done so far is empathize. We've not defined the problem yet because we don't know what exactly is the problem we're trying to solve, or problems, because it can be one, can be two, three, four. But I mean, just a few handful of problems that we can synthesize from what are the common issues with our customers. So, of course, this is just, if we're doing this in a real scenario, you can have hundreds of sticky notes everywhere. So you capture everything, then maybe you can spend one day just writing sticky notes and sticking it up there on your wall. And you can come back the next day now trying to sort related sticky notes together. So you find, okay, this has to do with ATM, this has to do with ATM, this has to do with ATM, then those ones you sort them together in the same area. So I'm just going to skip that process because of time, really. Because what you want to do at that point is just put them in the same areas, like something like, let's say this now, you can move this here. That's why the advantage of sticky notes as well. So you can just easily peel them off the wall and stick them in a different location, move that there, then you wonder again, what else is related? Oh, this is also ATM. You probably pull this here. I said I was skipping this and I'm already doing it, but don't worry. After one more sticky note, I'll stop. Cost of calling, deduct debit charge. Let's move this here. This one, let's bring it here. So you can see we have things related to ATM all here. Or I said after one more sticky note. So this is, you've put them in one place. Then you have things that are like calls. You put them as well too in the same area, things like that. So that when you're looking at a particular thing, you're looking at everything related to that. So you can extract one common issue from that. So what you're trying to look for here now is to look for the trend in all of this. So now I'm trying to define your problem. There's something in the whole called the point of view. So your point of view is a way to capture, it's like you're trying to capture, should I say, the destination in mind here. You're trying to capture the problem. Really, you're trying to capture the problem using POV. Point of view can also call POV. Is a way to like, what's the point of view now? Having engaged with all our customers, what are the common trends? We understand that our users need this because of X, Y, Z, or whatever, or something like that. So that's what we want to capture on our point of view as a way to just say, this is how we see our customers. This is how we read the situation. So that's what the point of view is talking about. So based on what we've looked at in that, based on what we've looked at in the in those sticky notes, for instance. Now, so what are the things that you could capture as your point of view of the situation using this framework that says the user needs this, and this is the particular reason why we think they need that when they're probably having this particular issue or something like that. Anybody trying to capture the whole situation into a sentence here? That's what we're trying to do. Anybody? We're waiting. At least say something, guys. It doesn't have to be right. I need you to, if you guys are not talking, if I'm just giving the answers, then it's just coming from me. And if what you have is a question, then ask the question. You can't just be quiet. It's not allowed.
Hello, Daddy.
Yeah?
I said maybe you should share the point, the teaching this thing for us again, so that I will recap and make it in a sentence so that for better clarification. The other slide.
Oh, the previous slide. Okay, yeah. Let's go back to it. Let's look at it now. So based on what we see here, what do we think? What can we say that our users, what can we call as the needs of our users?
I look at it from this perspective that the users might need, it will come from the customer care, people, their first point of contact in the bank. They need to be people that are friendly, people that are ready to do things from the perspective of the customer, not from their own perspective, in the sense that they're trying to meet up time. Well, maybe they're looking at it from their own perspective. Sure. Then look at things from the customer perspective.
Okay. Can you capture that again to us back in one sentence? And one thing I want you guys to bear in mind is that in talking about this, don't just tell us what they need. Tell us your understanding of why that is a need.
Okay, I said the first point of contact in the banking floor is the customer care unit. So the customer care should look at issues they should look at things from the perspective of the customer in front of them, not from their own viewpoint. And it's based on the ethics we are giving them also. So what I'm trying to say is that if you look at the issues of likes of saying getting information from the bank and issues long distance. And there are things that the customer service can just do, but based on just protocols, they want to delay and take things.
Okay, Abdulrahman, I'm gonna help a bit now. So this is how we need to capture this. So let me give an example now. So I can say whatever I type here, I'm going to take it out because I want this points to come from you guys. So okay, so Tendai is giving us an example here now that says that the user, you describe the user, who is your user, then you tell us what that particular type of user needs. So she says, Tendai, a customer for 2 years needs a bank to create a toll-free number. And the insight is that in order for her to know a bank is willing to make sure our customers is holistic. So now, if I want to capture that, I would say that let's get a bit more about Tendai beyond just being a 2 years customer. Yeah. So let's say that a young lady who just relocated to another country. Yeah, because you talked about having a bank in one country and then another country and things like that. Needs to be able to call a bank toll free. This is what she needs. And why does she need to be able to call a bank toll free? It costs her so much when she tries to call the bank directly using airtime, because they make her wait for long on the calls. Yeah, this is an example now. So this is giving us okay, so now we have to rewrite these needs, because somehow it is already suggesting a solution. But we need to be careful that what we are doing with the point of view is stating the problem. So it has to be stated in terms of what that needs really is, so we can frame any form of solution from it. To be able to call a bank without incurring airtime charges. Yeah, you can see that there's a difference between somebody who needs to be able to call the bank without incurring airtime charges and the person who wants to call the bank toll free. If you say you want to call the bank toll free, that means you've already given the bank just one solution, which is give me 3 free numbers. But when you say you want to be able to call the bank without airtime charges, then you have different solutions they can create. They can say do WhatsApp call, they can say Zoom call, and none of those options are toll free, isn't it? They are just a different solution. So when capturing a point of view, you should focus on the problem that the person is having, which is, hey, my need is to be able to call toll free because I'm having problem with calling too much and things like that. So it costs us so much and make our wait for long on calls. However, this is further insight about this same user as well too. However, this user prefers let's say things like do make internet calls, which has less cost compared to using airtime. Do make lots of internet calls. So why this insight is relevant is that we're able to know this particular type of user, that this person is already familiar with making internet calls. So if we design an internet solution for this person, then it works. That's why the insight is there. Now let's get some more insight about this person. What is the motivation? Why is this need like that? And things like that. Let's capture one more. I think I'll just duplicate this slide and might be faster that way. So for instance, now, while we are describing the user, it's going to give us more insight. By the time you realize that that person has relocated, but is still dealing with the same bank. So we can say a young lady who just relocated to another country, but still has the same a branch of the bank in the new location. So this is giving us some more about the user as well too. Or maybe I should have even captured that insight, the insight somewhere else. I mean, I should have captured the fact that this branch as part of the insights. Though this user still has a branch of the bank in the new location. Because one of the things here now is that this is also further insight, because if the branch of that bank is not in this new country, we would have been thinking about it to say, okay, maybe same bank, different country, different branch or something like that. Yeah, so it's same bank, but it's just a different location, it's just a different country. Can they make a more wholesome service that this branch will be able to talk to the other country or something like that? Because if we don't capture this insight, we'll just be thinking that since this person has relocated, there's no way we can have physical contact. It's just going to be, but by capturing this further insight that they still have branch in this other country as well, so then it will make the banks think, okay, maybe there's a way we can make a connect with all of this. Okay, so let's have another point of view quickly, then we move on to anybody else wants to try now.
Let me try this one out.
Okay.
Okay, let me say the user should be Abdurrahman.
You said?
I said the user should be Abdurrahman.
No, don't just give us the name. Describe Abdurrahman.
Okay.
A fresh graduate living in Kaduna, something like that, you know?
Okay. Let's say a fresh graduate living in Nigeria. Abdurrahman, a fresh graduate living in Nigeria.
Living where?
Yeah. In Nigeria State.
Okay. Niger State.
The need is being able to see the manager, let's put it like that.
To be able to see the
bank manager.
Okay, for what?
Yeah.
For why do you want to see the bank manager?
Yes, to get details as regarding a mistransaction that happened in the.
Yeah. So the need is not seeing the manager here. The need is to get details on transaction here.
Details as regarding a fraudulent transaction in my account in the account.
That has been delayed for how long?
For a month.
Aha. So it defines it more as a need here, because get details on the pending transaction. Somebody's just going to say, well, wait for it. The details will pop in your phone once the transaction is gone through. But when you tell us that the transaction has been pending for a month, we're like, okay, no. How do you need, do you understand that? By telling us to see the manager, you're already recommending the solution, because our solution doesn't necessarily be about seeing the manager. What you really need is to get your details. So whether it comes from the manager, it comes from the cleaner, it's none of your concern. You just need answer to your question. So we should capture the real need there. So one of the insights that we can now get about this person now, before we get to the insight, I want to reply quickly to this before I forget. So would it not be better we define users before gathering feedback? So good, that's a very good observation there. Like I said, that what we are doing today is make believe. We're not like doing everything exactly, because before you go out there to do your field research, you're not just going to go and meet anybody and just talk to anybody and all that. You need to be able to have like maybe different user groups that you want to go and speak with, but you still be fluid with it, because sometimes you might not plan to speak to a particular user group. It's until after you've spoken to them that you'll even know that that particular type of group of customers exists. But the reason why you need some form of idea of the different kind of user group you want to speak with is so that somebody does not just go to one restaurant and sit down in one restaurant and speak to only people in that restaurant alone. Yeah, so you just want to have an idea that, hey, we need to make sure that in our interaction, we speak to some people that are business users, we want to speak to some people that are maybe small business owners, some people that are personal customers, different things like that, yeah, that we can talk about in our work. So where was I? Got to be distracted.
Insights.
Yeah, so you just have some of those. You have some of those understanding about the different users you want to go out there to speak with. But it's after you've now spoken to those users that you now even come back and you're able to even get more details about. That's when you can even come out and tell us your personas. You don't just create some personas out of the blues. That's when you can talk about, oh, what's the common trend among all the people that we've spoken to? Then we can say, oh, we've spoken to some people that are married women aged between 40 and 50, and they're already thinking about retirement. All right, great. We can create a persona for all the people that fall into that category. Oh, we spoke to some people that, and the truth is that you're not going to have enough persona to address everybody that will be using your service. Yeah, you just need to have a few that covers the major or the very common user group, and you'll be lumping up, and that's why it's user group. You lump them as groups. Yeah, you cannot say that married women that are old. Then we have another one for married women that are young. We have another one for married men that are young, married men that are old. We have another one for fresh graduates. You have another one for taxi drivers. You have another one for big business people, another one for small business. Before you know, you've already had like 20 different personas. You get lost in the middle of all of this. You have to lump them up. Yeah. So before you call any group, there must be something special about that group standing out for you to be able to pull them. Preferably, I think having personas within a few, maybe 3 different personas, or maybe a maximum of 10, so to say, is helpful. So in short, anyway, Gode, my answer to you is that you should have some idea about your user group before you start this whole interview or observation with them. But after you've interacted with them, that's when you can even be much more clear on what are the different user groups that you have. Yeah, so that way, by the time you're capturing this point of view, your point of view, when we say user here, the user might be describing a persona, because you shouldn't just be describing one person. You should be describing like a persona. So, because if it's just one person, what if that's the only one person that have that need in the entire 200 million people in Nigeria? You would have been solving a wrong problem. So if it captures a user group, then you know that, okay, yeah. I hope we're clear. So what are the insights? Give us some insight about this fresh graduate living in Niger State, Abdulrahman. Tell us some things about the user. Why does this person have pending transaction for a month? Is it an international transaction? So tell us, do they have frequent international transaction? Is this person a freelancer? Do you understand? Just give us some insight. Is this person living far from the bank? Things like that. Tell us some things so we can capture that in the insight.
It's trying to make a transaction internationally, and it happens that it got spent in the money, and it wasn't a small money, so it was very tough.
Yeah, this user makes frequent international transaction with a high volume. Makes frequent high volume international transaction. So now this is giving us some insight about this person. Tell us a bit more. Is this a bit more? Is
right, so it was
yeah?
Go for someone and money was nothing. So it wanted to fight. He said,
tell us a bit more about some more insights about this user, please.
Okay, I said him not being able to make the transaction on time. That's yeah, and also him not also because the money is not his, and he doesn't have the funding for the money for him to just give out another money in anticipation of the other money that he's spending. So that is one of the challenging things for him also.
Okay. Yeah, so these are some of the things as well. So like this fellow. Things like that. So the reason why we have that insight is that anytime we're trying to solve that problem, the insight is giving us, will this work for this person? Will this work for this user group? Will this work for this user group? Things like that. That's what we're capturing there. So anyway, we've captured two problems here now that I'm talking about. One is around, I want to be able to call my bank without incurring airtime charges. And one, I want to be able to get details on pending transactions. And the truth is that what I need is not even getting details on pending international transaction. What this person really need here is that this person needs the international transaction to be processed faster. Do you understand? So we'll put it together to have international transactions processed faster, and even or get access to updates when it is being delayed, because nothing is as frustrating as you're not giving me what you're supposed to give me and you're not even telling me why it's been delayed. So to get access to update when it's been delayed. So this is two of those things, for instance, now that we can look at. So now the how might we questions kind of like take it a bit further. The truth is that you can use either or. Sometimes you can say, well, we already have the POV as a way to capture our problem statements. We don't necessarily need to capture the how might we questions. But why I love the how might we question is that it takes one point of view and asks so many questions about that point of view. So from the how might we questions, when writing on your sticky notes, to be able to save place, you can just say HMW, which is how might we speak with customers without them incurring phone airtime charges. Yeah. So you can have another question based on that same point of view to say, how might we create an international, how might we create an experience that does not require customers to call us? Is this not possible? You can create an experience that your customers don't even need to call you. Do you understand? So what else? We can go ahead and say, how might we clear process international transactions in less than 24 hours? Yeah. And now it does not mean that at the end of the day, you will find a solution that will process in less than 24 hours. Your solution might end up being 48 hours, but this is like spelling out some ambition around it. How might we process international transactions in less than 24 hours? How might we provide frequent updates to our customers on pending transactions? We can also go, somebody give me one more question. I've been typing all the how might we questions myself. I need some more. How might we provide faster service delivery to our customers? Bolu, can you drill a bit deeper, as in be a bit more specific with that faster service delivery? Because we are designing a whole service. So service delivery will cover everything. So zoom into a particular service and make it faster. A better online experience is also a bit like how might you create a better online experience. You're not asking a specific question there. So it's a good one, but because we're trying to just capture a few, let's a bit more specific. So Bolu, for instance, when we say that faster service delivery, give us an example. That would be ATM something, or account creation, or updating dormant account, something like that. Bolu, I'm waiting for you. Okay, how might we allow, Bolu is not responding, how might we allow for account setup?
I think how might we create better service delivery by making it faster to revert transactions that have been debited. I don't know how to put that. Like, you know, like when you do a transaction and then you're debited twice, like how might they do it in a way that, okay, when you're debited twice, they reverse it faster without having to call customer service.
Okay.
I don't know how to place the question.
So I love that. So I will now capture that and the account creation as one point. How might we allow for customer service interaction via our website? So whether you're interacting to create accounts or interacting to resolve something? How might we allow that interaction to happen on our website? You know, some of these banks, they have chats with us on their website, but it's not working. And the problem is that if they make that experience to be very seamless, they won't have enough that large queue in the bank as they have it. Banks are embracing WhatsApp chat as well. So these days, you click a WhatsApp link, you are chatting with and there's WhatsApp for business, so they can create it and multiple people will be interacting with you and all that. They even have like bots integrated with it that can give you an automated response first that says, hey, there's some automated feedback. So things like that. You wonder why some banks are not thinking about it. Well, I'm beginning to talk about solution, but let's move on. So now we look at all this, how might we questions and all that. So the next thing we want to do normally is that we now want to, so because what we've done is that we've just defined our problem. The next thing we want to go to now is to now ideate, come up with so many ideas that will say, oh, let's do this, oh, let's do that, oh, let's do this, oh, let's do that. So at this point, what we are doing is trying to, like, what's the word now? Come up with different ideas. We just, and when gathering ideas, there are different ways you could go about it. Like we could go to the point of saying, hey, let's do some brainstorming together as a team. There are other things like brainwriting, for instance, which is like, instead of everybody just talking, everybody will just write, and we'll look through what you've written, and then we can vote for the ones that we all prefer or that we think it's going to work and things like that. So at this point, this is, you see how much work you have to you will have had to do before you get to the point where you're even coming up with ideas, for your solution. So, however, there's also something else that could help, which is, because looking at our time right now, I don't think we can cover everything with this interaction. So what we're going to do is that we'll have the slides. We'll have the slide shared. With you guys, where you'd have to, and that's I created on PowerPoint and not the normal Canva that I prefer to use these days for my slides, so that you'll be able to like all edit it easily. So you can go ahead, you can edit some of all those problems and all that. You can decide to make it a bit more real and have some interactions yourself and spend some time on it and create some of all those things and all that. And you know, the interesting thing, guys, is that the current slide is confusing me. Don't worry, I'll explain it shortly. The funny thing is that some of you, what you guys, that by the time you've designed something like this, it is in your portfolio, whether it's a real service or not. It's already in your portfolio. Because when you in design field, either product design, service design, and things like that, many times when applying for jobs in spaces like that, they ask you for a portfolio. What have you done before? So just narrate a story for us and all that. So your portfolio now does not mean that you're going to send 18 slides for one problem or for one solution or something. You can find a way to summarize it. You can just use like the design thinking stages, empathize, blah, blah, blah. So one slide, empathize. You tell us what you did in empathize. You did field research, you did this, you did that. You capture the following information. Then you can provide one slide and just capture the most essential feedback for us. You move to them, and you also use point of view. You can just capture your point of view in one line. You ask them how might you questions, and you created some ideas, capture some of the ideas. You short down your ideas to this at the point of ideas now. Then you prototype. How did you prototype the service? We created blah, 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 this way, that way, and something like that. So you might do all your, so such that, because when you say you are doing what's the word now? What did I call it earlier before I started explaining? The word just escaped my mind. Portfolio, yes. So you want to make sure you put like 2, 3, 4 examples. So maybe by the time you have like 5, 6 slides on each one, you have like 30 slides on each of them. So it has to be summary. You don't need to give the detail of everything. Just summary how you went about it and what was the results that you end up achieving, something like that. So by doing this, for instance, it can be one of your portfolio, whether it's a real service or not. So let's now come back to this. I'm not just going to talk through these slides now, and you guys can take it and work with it going forward. So now your journey map is something you can even decide. You can do a first journey map before you get to the point of ideating. So your journey map is a way you are trying to capture how your users interact with your service from one point to another point. Yeah, so this is not like the only way. If you Google journey map and you check images for customer journey maps, for instance, on Google, you see different type of journey maps. They can have different parameters that you're capturing. So for every customer, depending on your service, there are stages. Yeah. For a bank, for instance, your first stage is going to be the awareness stage, for instance, where they just hear about your bank or know about your bank. For you, instead of saying join here, for you, it can be open an account. Yeah. So at this point, it's just going to be they open their accounts, and this level is at the level of, okay, they keep working with you and all that. I mean, they keep using their particular bank account or something like that. And then another stage is maybe they have issue to resolve. So that can be another stage that happens in most of your customers. And then the last stage might just be they leave. Because if you don't solve their issue, they leave. But if you solve the issue, they stay and they keep transacting with you. But some services are easier to draw a journey map than others. For instance, Bankway is a very long thing, for instance, and there are different things you can be doing with the bank. But if it's like a coffee shop now, where you mostly only go to the coffee shop to buy coffee, so it's easy to map that. If it's a site like Jumia that was used yesterday in the example, for instance, e-commerce, it's easier to map something like that. So where you're just saying, hey, what's the word? Why you're just saying, what's the example I gave again? Why is my mind? Why are things escaping my mind now? E-commerce. You know that on an e-commerce site, the first thing is they hear about your site, then they sign up, which is they create an account. Then what happens is that they purchase. When they sign up, what's the next thing that happens on the site is that they browse. They browse what you have there, then they decide. They maybe I'll just say buy, yeah, and receive delivery. Do you understand now? So you hear about them, you sign up, you browse what they have, you buy something, and you receive your delivery. Pretty much the major things that that happen for you. So, but the essence of this stage is here now is capturing is that regardless of what's happening, these are things that you can use different terminology, but these are like the these are some 5 main stages. Some people can expand it more than 5, some people can reduce it, whatever works depending on that particular service. So those are the main stages. Then for each of those stages, what is the goal of the user? So at the stage of being aware about a particular product, the user just wants to know about a reliable service for blah, 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 whatever the service that is offering, a reliable e-commerce service. That's what the user is looking for. A trustworthy service, whatever that goal is for that user at the point where they're just being aware. When they join in, what's the user goal? They want to have a seamless sign-up experience. I don't want somebody asking me for my family history because I just want to sign up to buy something online. I want it to be seamless as possible. When I'm using it, what's the problem? What is my goal? I want to find what I'm looking for, like this. By the time I'm buying, what is my goal? To be able to pay without stress, to be able to have, my goal can be, I want to have numerous options to be able to pay. For instance, there was a time I was buying something on Jumia, and I'm here, and I was trying to make a transfer to someone's account who was going to now pay for it in Nigeria. But then I got a call from Jumia, and I was even thinking, hey, can they even take like PayPal or an international account? And they were like, no. I was like, wow, these guys are losing out a lot, because there are a lot of people who probably want to even buy gifts for their family members back home, and they probably don't have an active Nigerian account, or maybe they have an account and their ATM has expired, things like that. And they want to make a transaction or just buy and send a gift for someone back home. And Jumia is saying they cannot take that payment. So, for instance, when you capture the user goal here to say that the goal is to have multiple payment options, things like that. By the time I'm leaving the website, or by the time I receive what I've ordered, depending on the stage on particular service you're working on here, I also have some goals there. Maybe if that point there is receive delivery as my last stage, then at that point, I just want I just want a delightful delivery experience. I want it to come to me at the scheduled time. Things like that, you know. Then the process and the channels, you capture where is this person, what are the processes. So some of the things I've explained at the stages here work better at the processes, because at the point where you're like joining, what are you doing? You're signing up. When you're using it, you're either maybe signing in again because you may be a return user, sign in and browse, and where is this happening? It's happening on your website. So because everything on your customer journey is not supposed to happen on your platform. Things happen before and after. Aware, for instance, now I don't get aware of your platform on your platform. I get aware about you somewhere else, maybe on social media, maybe interaction with my friends and things like that. So then problems. What are the different problems that people are reporting at those different levels? You capture the problems that they are having at those different levels. Then the experience. So this is just like a demo. This flow chart, so it's not, I say flow chart. This graph here is just a demo, yeah? So what we're saying here now is that if the person is happy, the point will be up. If they're not very happy, it will be low. So you can now map it and say, at this point, there's happy, at this point, is not happy, at this point. So it doesn't have to be like up and down, up and down. Some of them might be up, 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 down. Like what I mean is you can have something like this. Yeah, you can have something like this. It's all up at those points, and then it comes down here, and then maybe then it comes down again, then maybe at this point it's up again. So this is normally those lines are supposed to match each level, so that I think we have more lines than levels here. And just supposed like so that you know each dot. Sorry, each dot is picking each level. So but we have more dots here anyway. So then the ideas and opportunities. So on this as well, so we can now capture and say, hey, at this particular stage, this is what we think we can do. You capture your ideas in here. So you see that this journey map is helping us to do almost everything from empathy to defining the problems to ideating the solution. Yeah, and you can only fill those up if you've probably done those things in detail, like you've interacted with your customers, then you have insights. Because if you know interacting, you can't just come up with a customer journey map and start filling it up by yourself. If you interacted with them, you know how they flow and things like that. So, and you've come up with some ideas. So this journey map is just like pretty much helping you to throw those things into boxes there. And I mean, you're not going to capture everybody's ideas in here. You're not going to capture every idea in here. You're not going to capture every problem in here. So it's going to be based on those different things that we've done, points of view, how might we, the ones that you've come together and say, and at this point where you've generated a lot of ideas, by the time you've streamlined it and say, okay, these are the most essential ones, that's what at the point that you can now begin to draw up this customer journey map. I skipped one slide earlier, which is that, so there are three things in design thinking that beyond just the steps, the values that design thinking promotes, which is desirability, viability, desirability, feasibility, and viability. I love that order because you start with desirability. What are the desired, the ideas you're coming up with, which ones do your customers really desire? Then you go to feasibility, which ones can I work on? Which ones can I deliver? Which ones do I have the capacity to do today? Then you go to viability, which ones are sustainable, really? Which ones that if we do it today, it can thrive. It's not going to fail next month or something. So I was just trying to capture this in the sense that you can capture so many ideas in different places, but what you are really looking for are the ones that fit all three. The ones that are desired, that is feasible, and is viable. Because if you just think, oh, our customers want this, and you don't think about visibility and viability, you just realize that you don't have enough money to do what you've promised your customer as the solution. So this is a way to like streamline on your ideas, because some ideas will be good and fantastic, but you can't work on them because you don't have enough budget for that. Or you can't work on them because it's not sustainable, it's not viable. So these are the things. So it's those ideas that meet or check all these three boxes that you want to really capture in this your journey map as your ideas and opportunities here. So requirements for a good idea. I think I just explained three things there to be able to streamline it. Is this desirable? Because you might come up with the ideas and your users are not interested. It does not, you don't think it's interesting. Do you have the budget to be able to execute it? or is it going to take you 2 years, 3 years? And you need something that should go live in 2-3 months. So if that particular idea is not feasible then, and viable, is this something that we can sustain? Oh, okay, you are helping to explain on the question. Okay. Thank you very much. Yep. How would you calculate the viability of a requirement? Well, I think both you're an economist, yes, you're always trying to bring down everything to numbers. So it's not about really calculating per se. Sometimes it's just in the process of your deliberation. Sometimes you can calculate, because when you run the numbers and say, if we implement this solution, it's going to cost us $2 million per year. And as we have more users, it will increase. Maybe in the 5th year, it will cost us $10 million per year. And like, can the company survive by having this much budget on this part of the solution? You look at how much is the bank even making. Because sometimes you can come up with an idea that is going to cost the bank more money than they've made in the last 5 years. So that already tells you that that is not viable, because you're going to spend more money than you're making on something. At some point, somebody needs to pay for it. So that tells you that is not a very viable solution. You can say it's viable if you're a startup and you're able to depend on raising investment to be able to take on that cost. But you need to be able to know that at some point, either in 5 years or in 8 years or in 10 years, at some point, you need to be able to know that this business should be able to make enough money to pay for this thing by itself. If not, then you are just coming up with an idea that is not very good. Because one of those ideas can be that we should employ, we should have a customer service that matches one customer service agent to 5 customers. So what does that mean? If you have 5 million customers, you need 1 million customer service agents. So calculate your salary. Can the bank pay for it? No, that's not viable. Okay, let's make it 1 to 20. Okay, 1 to 20, that brings down the number to 250,000 people. And you're like, can we still sustain that? No, it's not sustainable. Okay, so you understand that when we say something is not viable, there's something we throw it away. You can fine tune it further. Like we've said now, say, okay, maybe let's get to a point where we have 1 customer service agent to 50 customers. So that way, we want to make sure that everybody gets a call from their bank at least once a month. Like, hello, how are you doing? Is everything fine? Do you have any problem? Yeah. So, and then you get to the point where you know that you can pay for it, then you can say it's viable. But now, is it desirable? Do I want my bank to be calling me once a month with or without a problem? I'm not interested. It will become a disturbance, because sometimes I might be expecting an exciting call and the call comes in and it's your bank. Like, hey, what's this? Guys, just get off the phone. So that might not be a desirable solution, even though you can get it to a point where it is viable. So, but then you now say, okay, but emails, not a lot of people are reading our emails. What else can we do? Text message, people are complaining. What can we do then? So, you need to come to a point where you can come to something that can work. You can decide to say that on your mobile app, you want to say activate push notifications, for instance, such that each time there is an alert. Like I gave an example of the bank Monzo. They have push notifications. The same way you get notifications on your phone when you have a WhatsApp message. That notification is not an email, it's a notification. The same way banks are thinking, instead of spending money sending emails, sending text messages that's costing a lot and people are even finding that disturbance, or sending emails that nobody's reading. What about push notifications that can appear on the phone? Then you look at the cost and everything. Okay, the people desire it. You need to have a way to test it. So another thing to take note of is that your research with your customers does not end at the first stage. It's something that continues. If you look at this very well, the design thing, you see everything is a continuous loop, a continuous circle. Yeah. So even when you do use some of your ideas, before you decide on the best ideas, if you think this idea is very good, it's fantastic, you can afford the budget and everything, you need to find a way to go back to your customers again to ask them to confirm if they really want it before you go ahead and decide on that particular solution. So now let's run through. Now, having an ecosystem map, I know I'm 4 minutes beyond time, but let's say I take 10 more minutes and see how much I can cover by then. And wherever I get to, I'm just going to shut the door on this. And yeah, okay. So the ecosystem map is like you're trying to capture what are all the different things involved in this service that we are now trying to design. So who are the people involved? You can capture them. What are the technology involved? Our mobile app, or even our technology, our back office technology as well. So that we are using everything, our marketing app, all those things, everything. We mentioned them as all the technology we're using. What are the contents? What are the different channels, social media, emails, text message, everything. The data, what are different data that we've collected concerning our customers, their personal data, their transaction data, market research data, everything. What are the different processes that are involved here? Bank opening process, notification process, reconciliation of failed payments, things like that. What are the different architecture involved in all of this? So we map everything. So this gives us like an wholesome view, so that when we are thinking of this, we make sure that everything that we need to touch base with, that we need to relate with, we can have like a one view for everything. There are other ways of capturing an ecosystem map where you just have like a circle and just capture everybody and connect them together based on themselves. But I love this because it tells you like the different aspects that you need to be thinking that makes up your ecosystem. And you can think of something else beyond that and think you want to map it. Yes, add it to it by no means. So this is just like trying to make you think ecosystem, everything together that makes up this year's service. Even in these people, you can mention your partners involved in this service, because you can have like a marketing agency, branding agency, and things like that. They are part of the people that you need to touch base with in your decision. That's the idea of the ecosystem map, to put everything in one view. So now I created this, we have this blue ocean canvas. So what we're trying to do here is that, so now that you've come up with some ideas about what you want to do, what you now want to do now is you want to measure what is the level of competitiveness of this, your service, that this new initiative you're trying to roll out on your service. So for instance, you say you want to do push notification. That's one thing that you can capture. You say you want to do whatever, I don't know, calling customers. I mean, like I said, these things are not the right answers. I'm just putting them there, or anything. So you just mention them there. And then what you can undo at this point now is, so you can now say you want to map like maybe 2 other competitors. You don't need to map all your competitors. Who are your main competitors? You can say, since you're talking about GTB, you want to look at Zenith and FCMB or Access, I think. Yeah, Zenith and Access Bank, for instance. So you start with your Access Bank and you want to map how they are. So you check push notification, do they have a good one? If they don't have it at all, you can capture it as low. So you can rename this. It doesn't have to be low, mid, high. It can be 1, 2, 3. So if they don't have it, you bring that to 0. So you can say no, low, high, for instance. So that if they don't have it at all is no. If they have it but it's not very well, you can capture it as low, and you can decide to call it good. Do you understand? So these things are not cast in stone, yeah, and call this excellent. So, or so and desirable, or whatever. So you start with the first person, you map, oh, they don't have this. Oh, do they have this? Oh, yes, they have it, but it's just so. Oh, do they have this? Oh, yeah, they have this, and it's just so. Oh, do they have this? Oh, no. Oof. Oh, yeah, they have this, and it's very excellent. Oh, do they have this? Oh, no, they don't have this at all. So now you found like the different points for this guy. So what do? You can just draw your lines. You can now then draw lines that join everything together. That tells you who these people are, really. And then yep, so this shows you, then you can make this a particular color, so that by the time you draw another line, you can know that, okay, this color is for Zenith. This other color that goes like this is for GT. This other color that goes like this is for another bank. So when you've done this now, when you're doing this,
see, they could buy them.
don't say
they could buy my phone. I'm telling you.
Okay, so what you're doing is that by the time you realize that, hey, these ideas that you've come up with, everybody's already very good at it. So it probably tells you that you need to come up with more ideas, because that means you're just delivering something that others are already delivering. But then, if you also go ahead and deliver the same thing, at least it will make you measure up with your competitors. But the idea of a blue ocean canvas is not to measure up with your competitors, it's to do something that others are not doing, it's to do something that others don't have. So if they already have it, don't focus on it. Customers that love that particular thing will be going to them. So you focus on the ones that they don't have, so that customers who need those things don't have it met anywhere yet, and they can come to you. So what you are looking to achieve with this is to look for the things where people, the factors where people are not excellent at. So you can draw your first business model canvas and decide to say, hey, the factors I used, I don't like them. You take out the factors and come up with fresh factors again, come up with new, better ideas again to now measure and check. And I mean, you can also generate this from an Excel sheet, because you can also use like 1, 2, 3, 4. So you just do an Excel sheet, do the different factors, put 1, 2, 3, 4 there and all that, and you generate your graph automatically. Anyway, so it doesn't have to be like visually, manually drawn like I'm doing here. Okay, so now you've come up with your ideas and what it is. You want to be able to, like, this is like another way of reconfirming again to say that whatever these ideas we have as the solution, does it match up with the problems that our customers are having and the needs that our customers are having? That's the idea of a value proposition canvas. So it's just saying that this circle is capturing your customers, this square is capturing what you are offering. So at this point, you would have been able to define what is your customer really, really looking for. Yeah, what's your customers really looking for? I can share a video with us after now that talks about, there's this particular video about value proposition canvas, doing it for like a Tesla, and I loved it so much. It was very detailed. What the customers are looking for. Then what are the pains of the customer? What are the gains of the customer? These two things, sometimes some people confuse them, but they are different. Pains are things that I'm looking to eliminate. Pains are things that I'm looking to increase. Gains are things that I'm looking to increase. I'm looking to get more of this and less of that. So those are two different things. I want to get more notification. That means I'm already getting some notification. I want to get more improved notification. So that is gains that I'm looking for. But what is pains that I'm trying to solve? I'm looking to get faster response from people about something that I need them to solve and all that. So then here, all those ideas that you've captured, you're not able to capture what exactly defines your products and your services that you're offering. Although the value proposition canvas is something that seems to be more relevant when you're just trying to create an entire business, so to say, because at this point you want to define what your products and services are. However, it works as well even when you're trying to improve an existing service, because at this point you're asking yourself the question again: what exactly are our products and our services? You capture them there. What are the things we are doing to help these people achieve these gains? What are the things we are doing to help them eliminate these pains? You capture them there as well too. So a quick question: touch points and pain points. So touch points is the point of interaction that you have with your people. So a touch point could be a pain point and it could not be a pain point. Yeah, so a pain point is those things that I experience that. So where is our journey map? So this journey map now, every level here is a touch point. Yeah, every level here is a touch point. But the ones that are low are now like a pain point. You get it? Every level is a touch point, but the areas where I feel some pains, those are now pain points. And you can drill further what the exact pain points are. So I could say that the touch points during delivery, I experience some pain points around your delivery. So, but you need to clarify further. So what exactly are the pain points you experience at the touch points of delivering goods that you've ordered? So my pain points are delayed delivery. My pain points are terrible packaging. Do you understand now? So I hope that's clear. I'm trying to close in less than 5 minutes. So now, then you have the business model canvas. Why is the business model canvas relevant? Is to be able to say that, hey, all this interested. So business model canvas seem to also be more, like, as long with the value proposition canvas, seems to be more relevant when you're just trying to, if you're designing this service for a new business. So you want to ask yourself that, what are all the people we are working with, and who are the customers we are targeting, how are we going to make money and things like that. However, even if it's an existing service, you still want to probably come up with a business model canvas as well too, because in redesigning the service, it might not just be about improving the experience. You might even find that there are some newer ways of generating revenue as well too. You want to be able to capture that here. You realize that you've now had some additional costs. You want to be able to capture it here. You've added to your activities. You've probably require more resources. You now need new partners. So that's why you if whether it's a new service or an existing service, you want to create your business model canvas. And the idea of the business model canvas is to capture all the different things you need, and very importantly, to make sure that you're able to get some money from this thing. You need to be able to make, because if you're not making money from it, it's not a business. Okay, so then the purpose alignment model. So this purpose alignment model is something that, having captured some of all these things here in your business model canvas, like your key activities and your key resources and your key partners and things like that, you want to be able to look at it that of all the things I want to do, yeah, which are the ones that I probably don't have to necessarily do myself. So look at this here. You are measuring two things: market differentiator and mission critical. So if something makes you, you've defined your mission as a business, and if it makes you, if it differentiates you from others, if it makes you stand out, those are the things at this point here. So, and those things at this point are the place where you want to focus your efforts, because it's critical to your mission as a business, and it differentiates your business from others. So it's critical. But if something exists that can differentiate you and make you stand out, but it's not critical to your mission as a business, then you can do that in partnership. So you don't have to create a team to do that. You can look for somebody that's already doing that and partner with them, so that it can still help you to be differentiated, but you are not having to stretch yourself thin in that particular regard. For instance, this is just an example. It doesn't mean it's right by any means. It's like if a bank realized that sending birthday gifts to all of their customers, like sending a physical gift to them, is something that will differentiate them. And they've done the test of desirability, viability, and feasibility. They know they can pay for it, they can achieve it, it can be sustainable, and the customers would like it. They've done that test, and they decide to go with something like that. It's going to make them different. More customers would come to them because of that alone, but it's not critical to their business as a bank. They are not a gift distribution business. So what do they have to do? They don't have to create a team for distributing gifts. All they have to do, they can just partner with existing businesses that already do that. So that maybe every quarter they just even send all the budgets to that business, and that business will be the one distributing the gifts to their customers on their behalf. So, so now, if something is mission critical to you, but it's not a market differentiator, that means by doing it, it keeps you at the same level as your people. So parity keeps you at par with others. So, I mean, you still want to do it because it's critical to your mission. But now, there are some things that it's not mission critical to you, and it does not even differentiate you from others. Those ones are the ones that are who cares. Those are the ones that are just like, since nobody cares about it, why should we even bother doing it in the first place? So it's just a way to like also categorize your ideas, kind of like similar with our feasibility and sustainability. But the thing is that something might check all those three boxes, but they don't have to all be differentiated. They can be here, they can be here, and all that as well. So they just give you some direction of, so for instance, everything that falls in the top box becomes your priority one. Then maybe this one becomes your, either this one or this one becomes your priority two. Yeah, this can be your priority two since you want to implement it in-house, and this can be your priority three since you're looking for partners to do it yourself, things like that. It helps to determine how you roll out, how you're implementing your solution. So now your customer life cycle is just a way to, similar to your journey map as well too. This life cycle just captures it on a high level. As a matter of fact, I think we should have just talked about the customer life cycle before the journey map, because the customer life cycle is like a high level of the journey map. Why the customer journey map is detailed, the customer life cycle just tells you how everything goes from beginning to the end. And finally, the service blueprint. In fact, that would have been so, I wish I rushed through every other thing and tried to land us on the service blueprint and get us to create the service blueprint together. And maybe who knows, at some point, maybe during our Friday meetings in the internship program, we can decide to whip out one of the blueprints and try to create one. As a matter of fact, we would have to create one for the project we're working on anyway. So the blueprint here picks up from the journey map. Yeah, so those high level you have on your journey map is what happens at this point here. You just tell us this is the journey. Then there's something called the front stage, which is where the things that you do that your customers interact with, either speaking to a customer, a service agent, opening so the person opening accounts for them, and things like that. So these are front stage activities that happens that the customers can interact with. Yeah, so there's this line dividing them, we call line of interaction between the customer and the business. Yeah, so everything from this line downward is all about your business. Then the backstage, you are interacting with customer service person, but there's somebody that you're not interacting with, or you're interacting with a mobile app, paying, doing all those things like that. You don't know, some guys are doing some work backstage and all that to make that work. So, but speaking on, because at this point, when you're talking about the service, you're really talking about real touch point that people have with people. So either it's somebody, interacting with somebody over a phone call or physically or something. So these are the ones we're trying to really capture here. And then backstage, the ones that the customers are not interacting with, but this needs to happen for customers to get this service. Like the HR people, for instance, that have to recruit the right customer service people, the training company that has to train the customer service people. You are not seeing the training, they are working backstage. Or the IT guys that have to develop the solution that the customer, that the teller guys are able to transact with for you, and things like that. And I don't know so much about the banking sector, but everything happening backstage that the customers are interacting with is what you capture here. Then you now have the support processes, that you pretty much work with as well. So they have to support this, even the backstage as well, because even the backstage have their own supports behind it. So now there's something I skipped at the beginning, which was the evidence. So for every journey of the customers, there could be an evidence, maybe an evidence that you've completed the transaction, or something that you have to interact with physically to show that transaction. For instance, your evidence could be the form you collect from your customer service, paper forms. Your evidence could be a mobile app. It could be a form you filled on the website. It could be an email that you sent, different things like that. So you talk about the different evidence at a different stage that you have. So if you have like an ATM card journey, your ATM card itself is the evidence that that particular stage has happened. And then you have the timeline that tells you from this stage to this stage is this time, this stage to this stage is this time. So this one's is a particular service blueprint I developed for something. So don't get carried away by the lines. It doesn't mean that the lines must go this way. I only just took out the text from the text and left every other thing there. So you can fill that up based on your own stuff as well. And I can also share links to videos that could even explain, and you can even follow like a demo service blueprint that is being created, which I wished we had enough time. I wanted to actually create a service blueprint with us on the call. So the service blueprint is what tells you the whole story of everything now, that says, this is the journey. So your service blueprint is not just telling us what they currently do. Your service blueprint is telling us what they will do going forward. So it's explaining now that, hey, when somebody requests for ATM, internally they should have somebody that they can talk to that says blah, blah, blah. And they should have somebody that can post the ATM to them. Something like that. That's what you're capturing. So all your ideas now, you're putting it together into a process flow on the service blueprint, how everything connects together. So this, as a matter of fact, just using this one slide here is a bit of a joke, really, because the service blueprint sometimes, if you want to be very detailed about it, can be really, really long. Like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. You can have as much as 15 different stuff for the customer journey, and it could be really, really broad. But you need to try to keep it as much as possible, not to be too complex. You should capture things a bit on high-level notes and all that, because you can also have like a detailed document behind your service blueprints that explain detail of some of all those different touch points and what is happening and all those things like that. So yeah, that's what you can now present now together. By the time you develop all of this, especially big point your service blueprint, because that is where you're documenting all the answers and some of all these other points, your model canvas, your purpose alignment model, even your, what's it called, your journey map, all those things tells you different story, but the service blueprint is the point where you bring everything all together. People can look at all those other ones for further details and all that. So if you can correctly create all of this and creatively follow the process, the thinking, the sorting, the selection and all that, you, my friend, can design a new service or improve an existing service through service design thinking. Any questions, as I'm out of time? Yes, so no questions. That's very good. I know some of you probably have your questions and you're concerned that time is gone. So let's just keep it that way. And we close the class now.
Sorry, Derry. Please,
Yes.
how soon you be updating this particular session on the YouTube channel? Because I really like to watch it again. There were some parts I missed while my network was acting up.
Yeah. So we did. I remember to do the live stream to YouTube today. So immediately at the end of the class, you can find it on YouTube.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and like I said, in terms of like you want to feel it yourself and all that, I would share this slide with you guys so you can get your own copy and walk through some of all these things.
That would be wonderful.
Okay, so lovely. I would share the slide. You guys can. You guys have not really been using the Google Classroom, but I would encourage you, if you work with some of all these things and you have questions, get a Google Classroom, ask the questions. As you drop a question there, for instance, I get a notification on my email that, yes, somebody has asked a question. I can come in there, I can answer you. So you don't have to wait until, oh, one call or one class, oh, I didn't remember the question again or something like that. You can put some of all those questions in there. So the idea of the Google Classroom is to get an interactive class beyond just attending a 2-hour video stuff. So I hope that maybe some of you are just being intense the time with all of the sessions we're having, since we're wrapping up all those sessions by next week with the different tracks. So it's expected that afterwards you go back to Google Classroom, you can find the slide, you can find the link to videos. Some of you can even find a new content elsewhere that you love. You come there and provide details to it as well too. So yeah, so someone's asking a question. Sorry, I won't be able to answer that question because of time. And your question is talking about throwing light on product design process. We've had a first class on product design, so you can go back to that video and rewatch it. If you still have some more direct questions on it, go to the Google Classroom, put in the question there, we can interact about it. And because when answering some of your questions, I could end up even going online, searching for more resources for you, provide links to materials, links to books. That's what I want to be able to do for you on Google Classroom. But I want to be sure that whatever link or answer I'm providing, you desire it. So I'm waiting for the questions before I provide more resources and more materials for you guys. So thank you very much for attending the class. For those of you watching the videos later, the Google Classroom will be there for you to ask your questions as well. If you don't have access to the Google Classroom, check on the Slack or send an email. Would respond to that email as well too. So yeah, so we got the email training. You can, if you don't have access to the Slack, because you're not part of the internship program, you want an email, just send the email to training@crestrad.co, training@crestrad, crestrad.co. You can send the email and we can pick up some interaction from there. So enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. And today's Thursday. Our next class will be next week, Tuesday, when we'll be picking up with what's the class on Tuesday? Business, the second part on business analysis. So enjoy the rest of your evening. It's been an exciting time today. I hope you all enjoyed it too.